Episode 9 opens with Lee-en taking the stage and leading Hee-ju away. Jong-yoo also arrives to meet with them. Choi approaches Lee-en and informs him that there are numerous reporters waiting outside. "What should we do now?" he asks. Lee-en tells Hee-ju, "I'll go out first." However, Hee-ju grasps his hand and insists, "We'll go out together." In the very next scene, however, it is not the two of them who emerge, but rather Choi and Ha-young. They are holding hands, their bodies completely shielded by an umbrella to create the illusion for the public that it is actually Hee-ju and Lee-en entering the car. Inside the vehicle, Choi and Ha-young glance down at their clasped hands. Moments later, they let go of each other and depart. Upon their arrival at the palace, they encounter Iron, who immediately asks Choi, "Where are the two of them?" Choi is about to answer, but Ha-young punches him and orders him to keep quiet. Meanwhile, we see Jong-yoo ushering Lee-en and Hee-ju into his office to discuss their next course of action. Although Jong-yoo advises them to remain silent for the time being, Lee-en refuses, stating, "We won't do that. We may have been deceiving the public before, but that is no longer the case." Jong-yoo challenges Lee-en, asking, "Do you really think that if you tell the public the truth, they will actually believe you?" He then asks Lee-en, "Are you absolutely certain that you won't seek a divorce after 3 years?" Lee-en offers no response. Jong-yoo then poses the same question to Hee-ju, who also remains silent. Finally, a secretary approaches Jong-yoo and escorts him out of the room. Lee-en turns to Hee-ju and asks, "Are you scared?" Hee-ju shakes her head and replies, "No, I'm not scared, because I have nothing left to lose. So, I'm fine, but what about you? Are you scared, seeing as you have a guardian now?" Lee-en replies, "I am scared, but I feel that precisely because of this guardian, I could end up destroying you." Just then, Jing-yu approaches them and informs them that they both need to go to the palace. He explains that a public protest is scheduled for tomorrow, as the people suspect that Lee-en orchestrated this entire situation solely to seize the throne. Meanwhile, we see Dayang and Taiju discussing the details of the contract, specifically the clause regarding whether the two had hugged or kissed. Did they kiss? Or did he merely embrace her? They wonder. Was it all just a sham? Later, they turn on the TV, where news reporters are broadcasting details about how Hee-ju had initially attended an event at the palace. While she was inside, a fire broke out. Consequently, the public now suspects that Hee-ju herself, possibly with malicious intent, was responsible for starting the fire. Hee-ju watches this very news report about herself on the TV, but Lee-en quickly turns it off. Elsewhere, Irene is speaking with her secretary, inquiring about Hee-ju and Lee-en. She then instructs everyone to assemble in the council hall, announcing that a meeting is about to take place. As soon as Hee-ju and Lee-en arrive at the palace, they are met by Ha-young and Choi, who usher them toward the council hall. Upon entering the room, Lee-en surveys the gathered crowd. He confronts Irene, asking, "What is the meaning of this? Why have you summoned all our relatives? I wanted to speak with you in private." However, Irene ignores his request and instead begins to verbally berate him, publicly humiliating him. Lee-en is on the verge of lashing out, but Hee-ju grabs his hand and restrains him, preventing him from reacting violently. Furious, Lee-en storms off into his private quarters. Hee-ju follows him inside and tries to calm him down. She looks at his hand and asks, who clenches their fist with such extreme anger. "You're actually drawing blood." But Lee-en simply replies, "I'm fine." Later, he embraces her. The next morning, we see Ha-young bowing to the court ladies in greeting, but everyone ignores her. Later, Choi approaches her and reveals that another article regarding Lee-en has been published. Outside, we see the public staging a protest, demanding that Lee-en be removed from his position as regent. They also discuss the incident where Hee-ju collapsed there, though it is implied that this was intentional, that she likely staged the whole thing deliberately just to gain publicity. Inside the palace, we see Jong-yoo arriving to meet with Lee-en. Lee-en tells Jong-yoo, "I can't take this anymore. I want to tell the public that my wife was poisoned, that an attempt was made on her life." However, Jong-yoo bluntly replies that it would be better if Lee-en simply stepped down from his position. Lee-en stares at him and asks, "What kind of nonsense are you spouting? Isn't it your duty to protect me?" Jong-yoo responds, "It is. However, my duty to protect the crown prince takes precedence over protecting you, and that is a duty I am fulfilling quite well." Besides, the public is claiming that you orchestrated all of this solely to seize the throne. Is that true? Lien looks at him and asks, if I were to say, yes, it is true, what would your reaction be? The scene then shifts back to 5 days prior to the leak of the contract, showing Jong-Yoo in his office. The forensic report arrives, confirming that Hee-Ju had indeed been poisoned. Just then, Ah-room enters the room. We have witnessed this scene once before. Ah-room now confesses, Sang-won ordered me to do it. He gave me a substance and instructed me to grind it up and slip it into Lien's teacup. He threatened that if I refused, my brother's surgery, his kidney transplant, would be delayed. Iram says, I had no choice, so I did it. Now, we cut to a scene set 4 days before the contract leak, where Young-woo comes to meet Ah-room to inform her about these matters. He brings along some evidence, specifically, a recording of Iram. However, Ah-room insists, that's impossible. My father could never do such a thing. Young-woo replies, you know it's the truth. But I'm trying to find out if you were in on it as well. Just then, they are informed that Lien has arrived and wishes to see Ah-room. Ah-room becomes extremely nervous. Young-woo asks, what should we do now? Lien doesn't know anything about this. Ah-room replies, I need some time to think. Young-woo says, alright, let me know by tonight. Young-woo then steps outside. Lien asks him, what were you doing in there? Young-woo replies, I just stopped by to attend to some work, I left shortly after. Now, Lien goes to Ah-room. He looks at her face and remarks, you don't look well. However, she simply assures him, I'm fine. Lien was deeply concerned about his wife's safety, so he had requested that the entire household staff be replaced. Young-woo comes back out and is spotted by Hee-Ju, who is standing nearby with her servants. She strikes up a conversation with him. However, the servants begin teasing Hee-Ju, pointing out how close she and Young-woo seem to be. So close, in fact, that they suspect a baby might be on the way soon. Hee-Ju tells them to be quiet, then turns to Young-woo and suggests, come on, let's go hang out. Young-woo agrees. Hee-Ju first asks him about the poison. Young-woo replies, we're working on it. We should have all the answers very soon. By the way, what about you? I feel like you've pulled ahead of me. But Hee-Ju simply says, it's nothing like that. You know it, and I know it. This arrangement with Lien is not a true marriage, it is merely a contract between us. However, I cannot disclose these details to the servants. Meanwhile, we turn our attention to Iron, who has come to meet her father, Sang-won. She presents the evidence to him and demands, what is the meaning of all this? Sang-won examines the evidence and asks, where did you get this? Iron shouts back, why are you so concerned about that? Do you truly intend to kill Lien? Sang-won sighs and replies, he is capable of seizing the throne. We have no choice but to do this. Besides, why are you so afraid? You have done something like this before, haven't you? You set fire to the official decree to destroy it, though, subsequently, the entire palace went up in flames, resulting in your husband's death. But even if you were to tell the public now, do you really think they would believe you? Iron responds, I never realized that you held such a view of me. Sang-won attempts to reason with his daughter, assuring her, everything I am doing is right. Now, tell me, how did this evidence come into your possession? She reveals that it was given to her by Jong-Yoo. Later that night, Iron arrives at the palace, where she encounters Hee-Ju. She greets her respectfully, but Hee-Ju offers a word of caution, you need to be careful. Shortly thereafter, she departs. That same night, we see Jong-Yoo in his office. Both Hee-Ju and Iron are attempting to call him, but he appears to be ignoring their calls. We then flash back to 3 days prior, just before the contract was leaked, where Jong-Yoo is visiting a memorial shrine to pay his respects to his late father. It is there that Iron arrives and approaches him to speak. She asks Jong-Yoo, what exactly is your plan? You told me that your father was behind this, that he intends to kill Lien. She then challenges him, if you suspected that I was also a potential suspect, why did you bring the evidence to me? Why didn't you go directly to Lien instead? But I know why that is, because you care for Hee-Ju. She hands him a file containing the marriage contract between Lien and Hee-Ju. Holding it up, she asks, do you realize what would happen if this were to leak? Lien and Hee-Ju would be completely ruined. But I know you want to protect Hee-Ju. Youngwoo recalls several moments proving just how deeply Ju cares for Lien. Lady Iron Jingwoo tells him, "Let me know what your decision is, you have until tomorrow to think it over." She then takes her leave. The scene shifts to the present, where Youngwoo tells Lien, "Your downfall is imminent. You must face this alone. I do not want the crown prince to be affected by this. I have to protect him." Meanwhile, a court lady speaks with Lady Iron, informing her that Youngwoo has been meeting with Lien quite frequently. Lady Iron replies, "Very well. For now, I wish to speak with Ju. Where is she?" We then see Ju in her office. She is informed that Youngwoo has demanded Lien step down from his position. "He was on your side," she is told. "I don't know why he would say such a thing." Ju is then notified that Lady Iron wishes to see her. In the following scene, the two are conversing. Lady Iron remarks, "You have fallen from grace. What does it feel like to be ruined? Have you realized it yet? There was a contract between the two of you. What exactly did Lien demand of you?" Ju replies, "Did you not read the contract carefully? Neither do I seek anything from him, nor does he from me." Elsewhere, we see Lien, who has just discovered that Sang-won is speaking with his nephew. We then see Sang-won himself, who is currently shouting furiously at Lien. He brings up various rumors, specifically the one claiming that a fire had broken out here in the past, but the young boy shouts back, insisting that his father was not responsible for it. Sang-won had been poisoning the boy's mind against Lien. Just then, Lien arrives and grabs Sang-won. He strangles him, declaring, "I know exactly what you're plotting and what you intend to do here." Ju also arrives on the scene. Seeing Lien, she pleads with him to stop. However, Lien does not relent. He maintains his chokehold and issues a stern warning. "If you ever lay a hand on my nephew again, mark my words, I will kill you." Later, he steps outside, where he spots Lan. Lan looks terrified. Lien beckons him closer. Their thoughts then drift back to a scene from the past. Lien was on his way to speak with his brother, but a court lady informed him, "He is currently speaking with Ryan, you will have to wait." Lien replied, "That is quite alright." Just then, Lan arrived, and the uncle and nephew began to play together. Meanwhile, in the adjacent room, the two individuals were deep in conversation, words that Lien and Lan inadvertently overheard. It was the very same conversation we had heard previously. Lien's brother was drafting a royal decree, stating, "Upon my passing, Lien shall ascend to the throne." He reasoned that such a succession would be preferable to death. However, Ryan approached him, snatched the royal decree, and burned it to ashes, declaring, "I would much rather watch you die. Everything I do is for the sake of the crown prince." Back in the present, Lien speaks to Lan, telling him, "Whenever you feel afraid, come to me. I will protect you." Later, Lien returns to his own chambers, with Ju accompanying him. He says to her, "Please forgive me. You witnessed a side of me back there that was uncharacteristic." But Ju replies, "It's quite alright. In fact, it was excellent. You are finally fighting back, and I admire that very much." Meanwhile, we turn our attention to Choi and Hae-young, where Hae-young asks Choi what Lien likes. "I am his secretary now, after all." Choi replies, "You can serve him black tea, he likes that." She continues to ask about several of his other preferences. After answering all her questions, Choi asks her in return, "What about you? What do you like?" She looks at him, surprised. Choi clarifies, "I'm just curious to know." He then takes his leave. Later that night, we see Ju approaching Lien, who is fast asleep. She gently touches his face and whispers, "You said you were scared. To be honest, I was scared too, because I felt like you might be ruined because of me." In the next scene, Ju is busy at work when Ju calls her. He informs her that a board meeting is about to take place and that he believes their father will be summoned. "You need to come here," he insists. Ju replies, "All right." Just then, Lien walks in and asks, "What happened?" Ju answers, "It's nothing. My father isn't feeling well, so I'm going to go visit him." Lien says, "Okay, we'll go together." But Ju stops him, saying, "Let it be. The public might see us together there. I'll go alone." He agrees to her request. Afterward, she tells Choi, "Get the car ready. No one must find out where we are going." In the following scene, the two of them are together in the car. Ju then goes to confront Jing Yu, asking him, how could you do this? How could you tell Lian to step down from his position? Jing Yu replies, I am doing all of this for you. I don't want you to get hurt. He Ju retorts, when did I ever ask you to help me? Jing Yu says, you've changed. You weren't like this before. You used to put on an act back then, but you aren't that person anymore. Later, He Ju confesses, admitting that she cares deeply for Lian. When she steps outside, Choi asks her, what are you going to do now? Are you going to see your father? She nods silently. In the next scene, she arrives at her father's residence, where her brother and sister-in-law are also present. She kneels down and says, please forgive me. I have betrayed you. I have ruined the company's stock. Please, I beg you, forgive me. But I want to ask you for help one last time. She pleads with him repeatedly. Han Guk steps forward and asks her, very well. Who is it that you wish to save? Yourself, or Lian? Meanwhile, Lian is busy at work when Ha-young approaches him with a cup of black tea and asks, when will you be leaving for the official engagement? Lian asks her, what happened? Ha-young replies, a request has come in from the Prime Minister's office. You must step away from your official duties. Lian responds, understood. Just make sure He Ju doesn't find out about this. That night, he is in his room when He Ju comes to see him. She calls out his name, rushes over to him, and embraces him tightly. Lian asks her, what happened? Is this a gift? He Ju looks at him and says, let's get a divorce. The episode concludes with a flashback to the earlier conversation where Han Guk had asked He Ju, alright, I will help you. But who do you want to save? Yourself, or Lian? He Ju replies, I want to save Lian. I can easily protect myself, but I cannot protect Lian on my own. That is why I want you to help him. And with that, the episode comes to an end. So guys, we'll see you in episode 10. Until then, bye bye.